Why are we talking about tomatoes? Yeah. Yeah. What's the #1 crop? Tomatoes. Why is it the #1 crop? Everybody likes them. They produce a lot of them.
But not without observing some of the high holy dates of tomato planting.
Most of us come from the north. I'm from Salt Lake, and we always planted our tomatoes on Mother's Day. That was our signal, Mother's Day.
Of course, Las Vegas is in a totally different growing zone with a planting calendar all its own.
Tomatoes are one of the fussiest crops to plant because they don't like temperatures below 55 and they hate it above 90. As you know, we have a lot of those days, and so we just got just a little narrow window,
which extends from the middle of March to April Fool's Day, and that's no joke for any serious tomato grower.
This is our magic date. This is our last frost date. I was over to Plant World yesterday, and the tomatoes were growing out of there hot and heavy, and so you need to start getting them in. The sooner you get them in, the better.
While paying particular attention to their location in relationship to the sun.
Anytime we can plant on the east side of the house, we're always going to have better tomatoes because we take the heat of the afternoon sun off of them, and they'll be so much better.
But only if you've already attended to the dead zone that is known as our southern Nevada soil.
We just won't face it, folks, our soil's dead, and we got to do everything we can to rebuild our soil. The soil right here in this particular raised bed here is nothing more than decomposed Christmas trees of about 4 or 5 years ago. And look how nice it is. When you smell it, it smells like a fresh potato. But that's compost soil, and that's the best soil because it's got all that where those roots can just get out and grow and do their thing.
Which includes tapping into just the right amount of water at just the right time.
Water is the key element, really, because the plants have got to have water when they need it. And when their plants are in blooming and the fruit's swelling, that's when they got to have water. And these little sips of water, little 10-minute, a minute day watering, they're just worthless. We need to give it a good deep drink, like you do. When you go to the water fountain, you get a good deep drink. And then they have the ability to go a long time between, especially if you prepared the soil, because there's a lot of ability to be able to store water down there to use.
Especially when you help the tomatoes reach their full potential by adding a protective layer of mulch.
The best tomatoes I've ever seen has organic mulch underneath it because it cools the soil, cuts down on the water, prevents weeds, all those things. But more importantly, with the water is able to always remain available, and we have less cracking, and it controls the bugs that like to come up from the ground. And so it's just a must to have those beautiful tomatoes.
But he does swear by an almost magical baptism of his plants and flowers with a handheld hose.
How can you lower the temperature, raise the humidity, and wind pollinate your plants in one stroke? Just a hose. And the hose jars the plant, acts as the wind. The moisture raises the humidity and cools the temperature, and that'll give you another few degrees. Direct it right at the flower. Whatever's coming out the end of the hose. Don't make this difficult.
Because by taking a few basic steps, raising tomatoes should be fun and fruitful.